The moment I saw Michael across the crowded room of our tiny apartment, decked out with balloons and a homemade banner that read, "Happy 5th Anniversary," I knew I'd hit the jackpot. 5 years, and here we were, still crazy about each other, or so I thought. We clinked glasses, the cheap wine tasting like luxury because it was us, together. "To us," he said, eyes sparkling with the same light I fell for in college. Surrounded by photos of our travels, it felt like we had the world at our fingertips. The next morning, I decided to surprise him at work with his favorite, a classic turkey and cheese sandwich, nothing fancy but made with love. Sneaking into the hospital cafeteria, I caught that smile of his from across the room, the one that always made me feel like the most important person in the world. We stole a moment among the chaos, his colleagues throwing us envious glances. "You always know how to make my day," he whispered, kissing me quickly before rushing back to his duties. Weekends were our sanctuary, volunteering at the local animal shelter, a cause close to both our hearts. One Saturday, we found ourselves amidst a flurry of tails and wet noses, helping families find their new best friends. "We make a great team, don't we?" Michael said, handing me another leash. I couldn't help but agree, pride swelling in my chest at our shared commitment to something bigger than us. Dinner parties with friends always highlighted how in sync we were. That night, we were the perfect duo, laughter and shared glances making our connection seem unbreakable. Our friends, a melting pot of cultures and backgrounds, often sought our advice, seeing us as the epitome of relationship goals. "How do you guys do it?" they'd ask, and we'd just smile, claiming it was all about communication and love. Michael's birthday was around the corner, and I planned the ultimate surprise, a hiking trip to our favorite trail, culminating in a campfire under the stars with our closest friends. The highlight? A handmade photo album of our adventures, a testament to our journey together. "I can't believe you did all this," he said, voice thick with emotion. It felt like a reaffirmation of our love, in spoken promises made under the night sky. But then, Alex happened. The new guy at work, with a charm that was undeniable and a dedication that matched my own. We clicked instantly, spending long hours on a project that seemed to bring us closer every day. "He's just a friend," I told myself, ignoring the flutter in my chest whenever his name popped up on my phone. Confiding in my friend after a particularly grueling day, I brushed off her concerns about my growing attraction to Alex. "It's harmless," I insisted, even as guilt gnawed at me. "It was just a crush, right? Nothing I couldn't handle." But deep down, I feared I was standing on the edge of something that could either be a thrilling adventure or the biggest mistake of my life. The air was thick with tension, the kind you could cut with a knife. Sitting across from Michael at our kitchen table, surrounded by the remnants of a life we built together, I felt a pang of guilt so sharp it almost took my breath away. But it was Alex's name that danced on my tongue, a secret I harbored like a forbidden treasure. Michael, with his predictable routines and comforting presence, suddenly seemed like a distant memory, overshadowed by Alex's exhilarating unpredictability. It wasn't supposed to happen. One minute, Alex and I were just colleagues sharing a laugh over a late-night project, and the next, we were diving headfirst into uncharted waters. Our conversations, filled with dreams and desires, made me question if the life I had with Michael was enough. Alex made me feel alive, sparking a flame I thought had long been extinguished. One evening, under the guise of work, Alex and I found ourselves at a dimly lit bar, the kind where secrets are both revealed and concealed. Our laughter filled the air, creating a bubble around us that made the outside world fade away. It was intoxicating, this connection that seemed to defy logic and reason. By the time we stumbled into the hotel room, I was too lost in the moment to consider the consequences. The lies came easily after that, each one a brick in the wall I was building between Michael and me. "Just working late again," I'd say, my voice steady even as guilt gnawed at me. But the thrill of the affair was like a drug, and I was too addicted to stop. Michael's suspicion was inevitable. His confrontation started off gentle, tinged with confusion and hurt. "Is everything okay? You've been so distant lately," he'd probe, searching my face for answers I wasn't ready to give. I'd brush him off, labeling his concern as clinginess, a defense mechanism to shield myself from the truth. But when my friend confronted me, her words hit too close to home. "Jane, what are you doing?" she demanded, her disappointment a mirror to my own turmoil. "I can stop whenever I want," I lied, both to her and to myself, clinging to the illusion of control. The day Michael found the hotel receipt was the day my world started to crumble. His face, a mixture of betrayal and heartbreak, was a punch to the gut. "How could you?" he whispered, the weight of his words heavier than any argument we'd ever had. I tried to downplay the affair, to make it seem like a mistake that meant nothing, but the damage was done. As I stood there, facing the ruins of my marriage, I couldn't help but wonder if the excitement was worth the price. The adventure I sought with Alex had led me to a crossroads, and the path I chose had shattered the life I once treasured. In that moment, I realized that the thrill I chased was fleeting, but the consequences were forever. I remember the morning I left like it was yesterday. The decision felt like ripping off a band-aid, quick and painful. I scribbled down my feelings, my apologies, and my reasons in a letter left on the kitchen counter, the same place where we used to share breakfast and dreams. With every step away from our home, I felt a mixture of liberation and dread. "This is for the best," I kept telling myself, trying to drown out the echo of my heartbreaking. Starting over with Alex was thrilling at first, like stepping into a new world. But as the days turned to weeks, the excitement faded, revealing a reality I hadn't anticipated. Alex, once the epitome of charm and adventure, became distant and self-centered. The qualities I thought I admired in him were nothing but a facade, leaving me to confront the emptiness of our connection. Meanwhile, Michael seemed to flourish without me. Through mutual friends, I heard about his achievements and saw pictures of him looking happier and more fulfilled than ever. It was a stark contrast to the life I had chosen, filled with regret and what-ifs. I reached out, hoping for a chance to explain, to apologize, but he was distant, his replies polite but cold. It was clear he had moved on, focusing on his own path of healing and growth. At work, whispers and sideways glances became my daily reality. The affair, once a secret shared in shadows, was now common knowledge, tarnishing my professional reputation. Colleagues I considered friends looked at me with disappointment and judgment. It was a sobering reminder of the consequences of my actions. As I watched Michael from afar, thriving and advancing in his career, I couldn't help but feel a deep sense of loss. His promotion was a testament to his resilience, a quality I once admired and now longed for. My own life, in contrast, seemed to be in a constant state of turmoil, a far cry from the stability and love I once had with him. The realization hit me hard. I hadn't just lost my marriage, I had lost myself. The affair, which I thought would bring me happiness, had only led to heartache and a profound sense of emptiness. Pride kept me from admitting my mistake out loud, but inside, I was crumbling, haunted by the choices I had made. Watching Michael's transformation from a distance was a bittersweet pill to swallow. His success and newfound happiness served as a constant reminder of what could have been if I had chosen differently. It was a painful lesson in the consequences of our actions and the irrevocable changes they bring to our lives and the lives of those we love. The moment I confronted Alex, my world came crashing down around me. The man I thought was my fresh start, my escape from a life I believed was suffocating me, was nothing but a facade. His confession of infidelity was like a punch to the gut, a cruel echo of the betrayal I myself had committed. The irony wasn't lost on me. I had left my marriage for this, a relationship built on lies and fleeting moments of passion. In desperation, I sought out Michael, hoping for forgiveness, or at least a chance to explain myself. But the door was metaphorically and literally closed in my face. He had moved on, his silence louder than any words of rejection could ever be. It was a painful realization that some bridges, once burned, couldn't be rebuilt. Professionally, my life took a nosedive. The project I had poured my heart into, alongside Alex, failed miserably. My demotion was a public declaration of my fall from grace, a daily reminder of the cost of my personal decisions. Work, once my sanctuary, became a minefield of pitying glances and whispered judgments. Feeling more isolated than ever, I attended a party thrown by a mutual friend, clutching at any semblance of normalcy. There, from across the room, I saw Michael, radiant and content amidst a crowd of admirers. He was a living testament to life after heartbreak, thriving in ways I couldn't have imagined. The sight of him, so happy and fulfilled, was a stark contrast to the emptiness I felt inside. It was a reminder of everything I had lost, not just with him, but within myself. In the aftermath, I turned to therapy, a last-ditch effort to salvage what was left of my fractured self. The sessions were grueling, a deep dive into the guilt and shame that had become my constant companions. Yet, amidst the turmoil, there was a glimmer of hope, a chance to confront my mistakes and learn to live with them. When news of Michael's engagement reached me, it was a sobering confirmation of the end of our chapter. He had found someone who shared his values, his passions, someone who could give him the life I had so recklessly thrown away. The finality of it all was a bitter pill to swallow, marking the closure I had longed for but never truly wanted. In my attempts to move on, I found myself venturing back into the dating world, a landscape that had drastically changed since I last navigated it. Yet, each encounter left me feeling more disconnected than before. The trust I once gave so freely was now guarded behind walls I had built to protect myself from further pain. My past, with its shadows of betrayal and regret, made it nearly impossible to form new connections, leaving me to wonder if the price of my actions was a lifetime of solitude. Each step forward was a battle, a constant struggle between the person I was and the one I wanted to become. The road to redemption was long and fraught with setbacks, but it was a path I was determined to tread, armed with the hard-earned knowledge of my faults and the faint hope of forgiveness, not from Michael, but from myself. Walking through the doors of the animal shelter where Michael and I once volunteered felt like stepping into a world I had left behind. The familiar barks and meows echoed around me, a stark reminder of a life filled with shared purpose and love. I half expected to see Michael there, laughing and playing with the animals, but the reality hit hard. I was alone, navigating the wreckage of my own choices. It wasn't long after that visit when life threw another curveball my way. My phone rang with news that would normally send anyone into a panic. My father was seriously ill. But instead of fear, I felt a wave of clarity wash over me. It was as if his illness was a wake-up call, reminding me of the importance of family and the forgiveness that often goes unspoken. Reaching out to old friends felt like walking a tightrope, each step fraught with the potential of rejection. I braced myself for cold shoulders and unanswered calls, but to my surprise, some friends welcomed me back with open arms. Their willingness to move past my mistakes gave me hope, a glimmer of light in a path I thought was forever darkened. Encouraged, I joined a local community project, throwing myself into work that aimed to make a real difference. It was there, amidst people dedicated to change and growth, that I began to feel a sense of belonging again. Their stories, diverse and inspiring, challenged me to look at the world through a lens of empathy and understanding, something I had lost sight of in my own turmoil. Just when I thought I was making progress, Alex reappeared, claiming he had changed and wanted to start over. But as he spoke, all I could see were the same patterns, the same empty promises. It was a painful but necessary realization. I had grown, and part of that growth meant recognizing what I truly deserved. Amidst this journey of self-discovery, my father's health began to improve, and with it, our relationship strengthened. Sitting beside his hospital bed, listening to his stories and sharing my own, I learned the true meaning of resilience and the power of second chances. It was a lesson in forgiveness, not just for others, but for myself. Through the ups and downs, the setbacks, and the small victories, I found myself on a path of redemption. It was a path paved with the lessons learned from the shelter, the community project, and the renewed bond with my father. Each step forward was a step away from the person I was, towards the person I wanted to be, a person capable of love, forgiveness, and, most importantly, change. The moment my name was called, a ripple of surprise coursed through me. Standing there, clutching the small but meaningful award for my work on the community project, I felt a mix of pride and humility wash over me. It was a tangible acknowledgement of my efforts to change, to make a positive impact in a world I had once considered turning my back on. The applause that filled the room was not just for the project's success but for the personal victories that had come with it. But life, as always, had a way of keeping me grounded. A random encounter with one of Michael's friends turned into an unexpected opportunity for growth. The conversation was awkward at first, filled with hesitations and unspoken questions. Yet, as we spoke, I learned about Michael's new life, his engagement, his successes, and most strikingly, his forgiveness. Hearing about his maturity and generosity, I couldn't help but feel both happy for him and reflective on my own journey. This reflection spurred me into action. I decided to further my education, enrolling in a course that not only aligned with my professional aspirations but also mirrored my journey towards personal growth. It was a step towards rebuilding myself, not just for my career but for my own sense of self-worth. However, with change came challenges. Financial difficulties hit hard, a stark reminder of the divorce and the lifestyle adjustments that followed. The struggle to manage my finances independently was daunting, yet it taught me a valuable lesson in responsibility and resilience. Each bill paid and budget balanced was a victory, small but significant. Visiting my old home, now occupied by a new family, was a poignant experience. Standing outside, looking in at a life that was no longer mine, I was struck by the impermanence of it all. It was a moment of introspection, a realization of the importance of cherishing what one has, for it can all change in the blink of an eye. Slowly but surely, my professional reputation began to recover. Colleagues started to recognize the sincerity of my efforts to amend my past mistakes. Their acknowledgement was a balm to the wounds of my past, a sign that perhaps I was finally moving in the right direction. The culmination of this journey of redemption came at a professional conference, where I presented a project I was deeply passionate about. The positive feedback and support from my peers were overwhelming, a stark contrast to the professional setbacks I had faced. It was a moment of triumph, not just for the project, but for the personal battles I had fought and won along the way. Each step, each action, was a piece of the puzzle, slowly coming together to form a picture of a life rebuilt on the foundations of hard work, forgiveness, and personal growth. It was a testament to the fact that while the past may shape us, it does not define us. We have the power to change, to grow, and to make a positive impact, both in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. The day I brought Max home from the shelter, his tail wagging as if he knew he was about to start a new chapter, mirrored my own journey of healing and self-discovery. Max, a scruffy terrier with eyes full of unconditional love, became more than just a pet. He was a symbol of my path towards healing and self-forgiveness. His presence filled my apartment with life and joy, reminding me daily of the responsibilities we owe to ourselves and those we care for. In search of a way to process my journey and connect with others, I started a blog. Each post, a raw and honest reflection of my experiences, became a bridge to a community of people who, like me, were navigating their own mazes of personal and professional challenges. Writing became my solace, a way to untangle the web of emotions and lessons that had defined my recent years. Life, however, had more lessons in store. An unexpected health scare landed me in the hospital, a brief but jarring reminder of life's fragility. It was during this time, surrounded by the sterile walls of a hospital room, that I truly understood the value of the support network I had. Friends, colleagues, even distant acquaintances reached out, offering words of encouragement and offers of help. The realization that I wasn't as alone as I had once felt was both humbling and uplifting. Reflection became a significant part of my daily routine, leading me to understand the crucial importance of self-love and acceptance. I learned that happiness and fulfillment were not reliant on others but were states I could cultivate within myself. This revelation was liberating, a release from the chains of expectation and comparison that had once bound me. Driven by a desire to give back, I began volunteering as a mentor for young professionals in my field. Sharing my story, the good and the bad, became a way to guide others away from the pitfalls I had stumbled into. It was rewarding, seeing the impact of my experiences on others, helping them navigate their careers with a little more caution and a lot more hope. A year into therapy, I took a moment to acknowledge the progress I had made. The journey had been anything but easy, filled with moments of doubt, fear, and regret. Yet, here I was, stronger and more self-aware, recognizing the strength it took to confront my flaws and commit to change. When I heard about Michael's wedding, a wave of emotions washed over me. In a gesture of goodwill and closure, I sent them a congratulatory note. It was a small act, but for me, it represented the final step in letting go, an acknowledgement of our shared past and my genuine wishes for his happiness. The true confrontation, however, came on a quiet evening as I stood alone on a bridge overlooking the city. The world moved around me, alive and vibrant, and in that moment, I confronted the full weight of my choices and their consequences. There was no grand redemption, no erasing the past. Instead, there was acceptance, a deep, profound acceptance of my journey and the resolve to live with the outcomes of my decisions. Standing there, I realized that this was not the end but a beginning. A beginning of a life lived with understanding, compassion, and an unyielding commitment to growth. The city lights shimmered below, a reflection of the complex, beautiful, and sometimes painful tapestry of life. And as I walked away from the bridge, I knew I was ready to face whatever came next, armed with the lessons of the past and the hope for the